Good afternoon. About about 5 hours back, CP started the session for us, and he asked a question saying, "How's the Josh?" I'm assuming the Josh is still very high, guys. Okay, good. So what we'll talk about today is really about bringing together what we are doing in the industry verticals as we report our numbers through the industry verticals. One of the interesting things happened yesterday as we had a leading analyst here with us, not an investment analyst, but a business analyst. And his comment was more about how we've earned the right now to be able to tell our customers what is the direction they should be taking to be able to be relevant for their future, for their customers, and for the needs that their customers have. So today, as we talk through this, we'll primarily talk about what that relevance is, how are we creating this, and what's the TechM way of doing it. So while we talk through that discussion, I think key discussions primarily going to be about what we talked to you last year when we presented our 1+4 strategy. Our 1+4 strategy is obviously built around the fact that CME, which is our largest vertical, plus the 4 key focused verticals that we are absolutely keenly investing in and building our growth strategy around. That discussion, as we had committed to you last time, was about scaling our leadership in CME even further. And you'll be glad to know as we bring on the panel that the recognition now rounds across the world for a 4th time in a row from Gartner for us to be recognized as the topmost in that quadrant. The other 2 we had committed to you was to make them a $1 billion vertical, the manufacturing and BFSI part. And the other 2 that we have scaling up as a differentiated play, as you know, is primarily around high tech and healthcare and life sciences. So this is our 1+4 strategy focused primarily on it. I'll let the numbers speak for themselves because they talk about the growth, they talk about the recognition, and they also talk about the leadership positions that we have achieved in each of these industries. As we move forward, we talked about our 5 key areas on which we have built our capability on. Shilpa and the leaders talked about it. All our industry solutions are built around these 5 key areas: connectivity, engineering, cloud, experience, and sustainability. This is the core of every solution that we build. This is at the core of driving business outcomes for our customers. And this is the core of driving ultimately value that we bring to them to be relevant for the future. As we do that, what is the TechM way? What does TechM bring in its own process of delivering these solutions to the customer? How are they the trusted advisor? How are we the trusted advisor for our customers? And that's the critical part of the discussion here. So while you talk about, everyone will talk about use cases, everyone will talk about business alignment, and the other things like accelerators, working with hyperscalers across the board, the TechM way is the last column here where we're bringing together cross-industry benefit. For example, we talked about Industry 4.0 and the solutions that CTL and Manish talked about. What we do, it used to be primarily focused on the manufacturing area. But if you look at what Industry 4.0 does, or the future of factory does, is actually applicable to CPG as much as it's applicable to pharma, as much as it's applicable to high-tech industry. So from every aspect, we are trying to bring together the aspects of the vertical solutions that are horizontal in nature and are replicable. That's the only way we make sure that we are faster go-to-market, we have a better positioning in the customer base, and we are able to win many more deals, which is what you saw in the last stage where you saw the growth and the large deal wins that Tech Mahindra grew approximately about 40% year on year from what we were in our large deals to what we finished this year. As we start to do this, I want to bring together a panel on stage which will primarily talk about how each of these industry verticals are driving the growth and what are they doing to be able to make sure they are relevant, what are they making sure to be able to choose the right industry areas. What we heard from you every time when we've spoken about this is, guys, you've got a wide portfolio of service offerings, focus, zoom in on a few, and be the best. And I think what you'll hear from us today is exactly what we've done. So I'm going to call on stage our industry leaders, starting with Dhanashree Bhat for CME, Gautam Bhasin for BFSI, Seshan for Healthcare and Life Sciences, Ajith Pai for High Tech, and Debasis Bisoi for Manufacturing. They have actually requested that they stand rather than they sit. So I'm going to let them follow their dreams, that they are going to rise, as they say, and not wait for it. So the first one to you, Dhanashree, as the ladies go first. And I think a couple of things that I thought we should probably highlight as we talk about CME is this hugely proud moment that we have about being recognized 4th time in a row. So, you know, our largest vertical continues to grow and demonstrate leadership. But Dhanashree, while we do that, can you help us understand we've done exceedingly well on 5G and our positioning there. What do you think is the future of that service offering? This is again coming from people who were there at dinner yesterday, and their questions were about, you guys have done well, what's the future on 5G, and how do you see this take a turn for the year ahead, and what's the opportunity for us?
Sure, Jagdish. Can we go back to the last slide, earlier slide, Jagdish? And I just want this to register to everyone, right? First thing is, we are the dominant leaders in communication service providers space, period. I mean, there's no competition today, at least for us. Second, I want to thank on this slide the 50,000 people who deliver into this vertical. I want to thank the 250 plus customers that we work with very closely, who actually give their surveys that actually puts us into the leadership quadrant. So thank you internally, thank you externally, really. And that's what I wanted to take a minute to actually say thank you to everyone on this slide. So Jagdish, I will answer your question. I'm reminded of one of the dialogues from one of the movies, Jab We Met, if everyone knows. You know, there's a dialogue where he says, "Kya scene hai, boss?" And it's like that. 5G is here. What's next, right? What are you guys doing? So really, the base. Let me talk about how we've been growing to $1 billion that we are really in. It's not fluke. It's a methodical way that we've actually put together to grow to this space. And how do we say that it is methodical, right? Is if you take lab as a service that we really started in Japan, we've now taken it to 15 different customers or even more. So it is a very thought through process of replicating from a platform perspective and moving it into 15 different and more customers to come. If you talk about what we did from a digital stack transformation, we did it in Singapore, we did it in Germany, and we're taking it to another 8 or 10 customers beyond. If you talk about customer satisfaction, and you must have seen at the booth that Parashar was really presenting, that's where we actually took a customer from 1.7 customer satisfaction rating to 4.8, highest ever in the industry and in Americas, actually. That's what we are saying we can take and replicate across. Now, tie this back to what we always said what 5G is. 5G for us is not just about networks. Yes, it is an important part, but for us, it is about what we deliver to the communication service providers, what we deliver to the product vendors, which is those that manufacture 5G equipment, and what we finally also deliver to the enterprises. So what we are trying to do is, through these platforms, really build repeatable solutions, repeatable platforms that can be taken from one to another. Now the industry part, right? What is the industry saying? The industry is saying that it's going to grow to about 5 billion to 8 billion subscriptions by 2025 in just 2 years. Now that means we've grown to 1 billion. Our growth path can actually be to how do we capitalize on this growth with the platform story that we have to actually now grow our revenue from 1 billion to XX that really we can grow to. Let me tell you what we are also doing, right, for this growth. So what we are doing is, only 3 things. And I think since morning you must have heard this a few times. Simplify, modernize, monetize. No 4th thing. We will only do this. This is our story to our customers. We will help you simplify, We will help you modernize, because what you gain from simplification, we will put it into modernization. And we will work with you very closely to build industry solutions to monetize what you've already implemented from a modernization perspective. I think that's really our story, and that's what we are taking to market.
Thank you, Dhanashree. I think one good answer I would have thought is also how many people here have a 5G service. I'm assuming none. And that's the big opportunity, that this, as the service starts to grow, there'll be a lot more solution offerings, there's a lot more service delivery, and there's a lot more to be support to be able to provide. So thank you, Dhanashree, for telling us that. Let me come to manufacturing. And each of those, as you know, for us, manufacturing has been a key vertical, and it's been one that's built in our DNA with the Mahindra group and what we've been able to achieve. And I think CTL talked about the Chakan plant and the factory of the future and the enablement of 4G over LTE to be able to show automation and efficiency. I'll bring in Debasis Bisoi, who heads the vertical for us, to talk about manufacturing and tell us, for example, Debasis, for your perspective, what's the future of manufacturing overall as an industry? And for us as a big participant in it, how do you see this digitalization journey going through? And what's the right opportunity, and what's the big opportunity for TechM?
Thank you, Jagdish. Good afternoon, everyone. In many ways, these are the questions I was getting when I was interacting with some of our analyst friends yesterday evening and today during lunch. Largely similar questions, right? What is the outlook for the industry? How are you positioned? And then what is the prognosis for you, right? So if I reflect on the last 1 year, I think for us at Tech Mahindra, we have delivered a very solid performance, a double-digit growth, a bona fide seat at $1 billion vertical club. Now, if you break down what is visible at the surface, I think what is more important is that the quality of our revenue has actually improved significantly. We have grown our chip to cloud revenue at a very, very healthy rate. Our large deal win rate has improved. And what is even further important is that we have won large deals from existing customers, we have won large deals from new customers in equal measure and in interesting areas. Now, this brings me to the fact that how are we positioned? Now, when we selected and chose 3 areas where we want to stay invested, where we want to grow, we actually applied 2 filter criteria, if you will, right? So the first filter criteria is that our customers should be investing in that domain, number one. Second, it should actually offer us an opportunity to co-create with the customers. So anything and everything that I will speak about today will be around these 2 topics. So broadly, 3 areas we have chosen for ourselves. And in some ways, you will see a repetition of what was discussed in the morning. The first domain is called EV and electrification. I'm using a slightly broader definition here. It is EV stands for electric vehicle, and electrification starts for the chip to cloud area. The second domain is actually Industry 4.0 and resilient supply chain. So this is yet another area where we see a lot of growth happening. The third area is kind of ubiquitous. It is sustainability. And if I get some time, I'll talk more about what we are doing in sustainability for our customers.
Sure,
Thank you.
Debasis. That's an important part, and I'll promise that we'll try and give you some more time. Gautam is representing banking and financial services and insurance vertical for us. Over the last 3 years, this has been an extremely consistent and high growth business vertical for us, and has been recognized very well by the industry in terms of where we stand in this. You will all recollect that this, amongst the top players, is the biggest vertical for most. So we were really a challenger getting into this vertical, trying to get into create a niche for ourselves. So our whole strategy on this has been to create a differentiated play. So Gautam, this is one industry where digital transformation took a front seat. We all know BFSI always at the cutting edge of trying to try out new technologies, touchless processes, transformation in models, and so on and so forth. What are the next frontiers of growth in BFSI, and how are we placed to be able to take advantage of that?
Sure. Thanks for that, Jagdish. So at Tech Mahindra, the financial services vertical has shown fantastic growth over the last 3 years. We are one of the best performing industry verticals. It's a very crowded market space out there from a financial services standpoint. So the reason why we have been able to show growth over the others in the industry has been because we have focused on some very specific segments. We have focused on digital adoption, which is one of the big themes, and it's a theme which continues across the banks last year, this year, and in the foreseeable future as well. And we have created very focused industry solutions which focus on the digital adoption. So there are multiple themes that we have picked up around this, the overall digital space. And one of the key themes, and if I have to pick up one, has been, for instance, the digital channels. Now, we have a lot of credentials on digital channels, and we have worked on among building one of the largest web and mobile experiences for a leading global bank. That gives us depth, it gives us capability. It gives us capability across retail banking, across corporate banking, across wealth management, and the channel adoption across that. Now, how do we take this forward? How do we look at creating new channels for the banks? How do we look at creating market space and ecosystems, which is the new way the banks are engaging with the industry, is where we are currently working on. And with our different horizontal solutions, which you have heard through the day, like XDS, we are doing that. Creating the entire branch experience on the metaverse has been a showcase engagement for us. While a lot of people talk about the metaverse, and a lot of us over the course of the day, you would have heard us talking about the metaverse, but amongst the first engagements which Tech Mahindra did, and amongst the first banks which went out there and put the branch experience on the metaverse, Tech Mahindra was the proud partner of that. We are also very proud that we have won 3 industry awards since the last 3 months since we launched that engagement. So that's just one example, and there are multiple other examples probably which we can touch upon as we go along.
Sure. Thank you, Gautam. As we move on, I think I wanted to also bring in the fastest growing vertical for us. It grew about 34% YOY for us last year. And it's something that we are extremely proud of in terms of just not the growth, but also the recognition and the hugely tech talent competitive environment that this operates in. We're dealing with people who are absolutely deep in technology, and there you're trying to prove yourself in terms of your growth and their ability to be able to deliver it. So Ajith Pai, who's our global head for the service delivery that we do for all our high-tech clients, is going to take us from the journey that we've had. So Ajith, thank you. For us, the high-tech vertical is a very interesting place. It's not one area. It's got 3 subsets that we work in: semicons, software OEMs, and hardware vendors. This is the 3 sets of people that we operate with in this. How are we making sure we are relevant, and how are we making sure that the growth journey will continue?
Thanks, Jagdish, and good afternoon all. Firstly, I would like to update that in the last 24 plus months, we have spent as a company considerable amount of energy and effort in bringing together 360-degree partnership and relationship with one of our largest customers and hyperscalers. And we see this paying us rich dividend as we move into the future. Secondly, we have been at the forefront of developing joint solutions at scale with most of our partners, that is key customers. And we see this playing out in a very big way, and we will continue to do this. Then with our key partner status that we enjoy with the 3 biggest customers that we have in high tech continues to be playing out a lot of traction. And as we go into the future, the might of acquisitions that we have in the last 24 months, we continue to get high value added work in the areas of semicon engineering, semicon ecosystem, gaming, which we've never had access to before. As an example, in the last 3 months, we have had an example of a large deal win that we have had, and we purely won this on the back of our unique differentiated solution on the XDS front. XDS is nothing but user experience design services. So Jagdish, we continue to do what we do best. I think our portfolio of companies that we have acquired continues to give us that edge. We can go deeper and deeper to get more value out of the relationships that we already have. And I think that is how we are uniquely positioned in the industry.
Thank you, Ajith. I think this is absolutely a critical vertical for us. We all are getting more and more included in the whole tech world of how every life part of our business runs. and some of the people that we work with, pretty much our clients run our daily lives, and literally so. I'm going to call in Seshan here to primarily talk about the fourth 1+4's fourth vertical, which is healthcare and life sciences. Again, this is an area that we've been strongly invested in over the last 3 to 4 years, and we've built capability in an area where we have seen tremendous potential and therefore invested in, because this was an area where there was quite crowded. So for us to win in this marketplace, we had to be very differentiated and get our feet inside. And I'm going to talk to Seshan about it as we start to get in. So Seshan, COVID has obviously transformed the way every part of this industry operates. You know, we've had patient experiences changing. Our pharma productivity and development, because of the speed at which the research needs to be done using AI, etc., has changed. What's your view of where the industry is going, and how is TechM confident to be able to win in this space?
Thanks, JM. I think that's a great question. So I want to, call out 3 or 4 keywords, right? I mean, nothing that you have not heard before: virtual care, telemedicine, AI and ML, data and analytics. And these are things that existed even prior to COVID, right? In some way, shape or form. But COVID has actually forced the healthcare and life sciences industry to innovate. And innovate they did, right? And I'm going to talk about, I'll take 2 examples, right? The first is what we call care on demand, right? And that's the first trend that's here to stay in a big way. And Jagdish, did you know that, when we are talking about care on demand, I just want to clarify, this is essentially nothing but shifting the care to patients, shifting the care, of healthcare delivery closer to patients. And did you know that, hospital systems today across the world are spending close to 220 to 225 billion on this. And this is expected to double in the next 7 years. So there's a significant amount of spend that hospital systems are doing. In fact, one of our hospital systems, and I'll give you a live example. This is, I would say, US second largest faith-based hospital systems. It's a missionary-run organization, non-profit, etc., etc. They came to us saying that, they want to essentially build this, what I would call system of engagement. So we helped work with them. We built them micro clinics, and these are essentially 2 to 4 bed hospital rooms, right? They're called micro clinics, if you will. So we helped set them up, right? And what we are talking about is essentially rolling out an end-to-end EHR platform for micro clinics. So today, hospital systems have increasingly started to work with primary care providers, setting up micro clinics, all with the objective of taking that care closer to the patients. And I'm going to give one more life sciences example before I turn it over to you, right? And this is essentially the second trend, which is how do we use data and analytics, AI and ML towards elevating patient experiences, right? So one of US largest biopharma companies, they came to us saying, hey, we are sitting on terabytes and petabytes of data. Right, this is all patient data, drug data, and this was during COVID, right? And they said, hey, we want you to take this data and analyze it. And this is data from some 8,000 drugs. And they said, hey, can you do a rapid analysis of this data and help us identify, a much smaller subset of drugs that could potentially be candidates for COVID, right? And that's exactly what we did. So we have a platform, it's called Computational Drug Discovery. It's a set of AI algorithms. It's a platform that we are building with today because that's essentially where the industry is headed. And we help them whittle down those, using the AI and ML and data, collaborating with Maker's Lab, right? To bringing down those 8,000 drugs to about 17 drugs. So yet another example of another trend that's here to stay, Jagdish.
Thank you, Seshan. This is, as we have always said, in our 1+4 strategy is a key vertical for us. We are invested in it, and like I was telling most people yesterday evening, that this is going to be a journey. And over the last 3 years, that journey has significantly grown for us. Thank you. Dhanashree, I'm going to come back to you as we get into the round 2 of this. We've talked about media and entertainment in our portfolio. but it almost gets overshadowed by the large communications business that we have. What's happening in our media and entertainment business, and what gives us confidence that we will grow at the speed that we've grown?
Yeah, so great question, right, Jagdish? And I will address 2 points really. One is, let's address the media and entertainment question that we have. So, and we said 3 things. Now we have 4 things that we will be doing for media and entertainment. Simple and very clear. A, we will sell whatever we are good at, which is our IT services, into the media companies. 2, we've got an acquisition lodestone. We got a platform, quality as a service and framework. We are selling that into the media companies. Good news is, in some way, every one of you who's on social media is using it today. So you're there. So we are there, and we can grow that big. Third thing that we will do is video engineering. So we capture the cable market very, very well. And the fourth thing that we are doing, and Dilip alluded to it today morning, is studio part of it. We are actually creating seasons and episodes for animation for one of the largest production studio in the West Coast. So really, those are the 4 things that we are doing. Good thing is, we've actually grown our revenue from last year to this year 2x. So the proof of the pudding is in the growth that we've seen. Therefore, we've grown 2x over there. I want to also address, our transformation story, and since Jagdish, you put up this slide as well, for the telcos, right? And overall, our transformation story is keeping it simple, really. So we are not going to do too many things. We are going to keep it simple. One, we will make the telcos spend less. We don't want the telcos to spend more, but we will help them change faster. That's the first thing, that we will remember. Second, what we will do is we will use a platform-based approach. And now I'm talking about CME as a vertical. We will always use a platform-based approach and not go into doing bespoke applications. Third, we will partner with the right people for the platforms that is there. So all in all, what we are trying to say is we will take a greenfield approach, but we will have patches of brownfield approach. Now the last part of it, which is the greatest part of it, is there are 3 new telcos that are actually implementing 5G first time. We are part of all 3 of them. One in Japan, one in Germany, and one in the US. So the good thing is it's all resonating. Greenfield, brownfield, our transformation piece, everything is resonating. So I thought I'll just answer everything over here, Jagdish.
Thank you, Dhanashree. It, I think, is an important part of our largest vertical to drive the future investment growth areas, and thank you for highlighting that. Debasis, I'm going to call you in. You talked about our focus on EV and electrification. We've captured that in the engineering services discussion that Abhirup came and spoke about as well. How are we helping our customers, and how are we being relevant to this big investment area for sustainability and sourcing and the allied area of the whole supply chain?
Sure. Thanks, Jagdish. Let me answer this segment of my response with some customer stories, right? In the first bucket, which is EV and electrification, we actually started working with a Japanese car company, which is a very, very popular name in India, under confidentiality, so I won't be able to go any further than that. So they wanted to set up an ADAS solution center for all their cars being sold globally. Now, look at the magnitude of the complexity involved. It involves picking up the data from the car, tagging it, compressing it, and then putting the analytics and algorithm on top. So it was actually a leap of faith for the Japanese customers to be able to start working with us. We were in R&D mode with them for about 18 months before we could actually formalize the relationship. Single source relationship, but it actually gave us the conviction that we could stay focused, invested in the EV and electrification domain, and more importantly, co-create. One example. The second example I wanted to give in the same domain is, it is actually happening right here in India. In India, as we speak, the EV revolution has already happened in the delivery vehicles or the utility vehicles domain. You see a lot of 3-wheelers that actually carry a lot of delivery load. They get to charge in the morning, and the biggest thing in their mind is whether they will make home in the evening, right? And they don't have the luxury of lightweighting the vehicle because they have to carry a load. So here again, and this is a solution which we have built with partners, we have come up with a proprietary solution which monitors various driving conditions, the condition of the battery, so on and so forth, the load factor, and extends the range of the vehicle. So very, very practical and real life problem. In the second domain, which is the Industry 4.0 space, customers are going from pilots and POCs to large scale implementation. That is really what is happening. And why wasn't it happening before? There were two impediments. The cost of, let us say, storing the data, analyzing the data was actually prohibitive. This is one. Second, factories, by virtue of being what they are actually located in remote locations. So access and network was a challenge. And this is where we are, we have a vantage position, right? So we solve the network problem through 5G, we solve the storage and analysis problem through cloud. So a lot of interesting things happening here. I'll just give a couple of examples, but these are very profound examples. During COVID, imagine if the vaccine guys did not certify, did not manufacture the vaccines in time. We take it for granted. We all got vaccines in time and we feel lucky for being where we are today. So again, an example of Industry 4.0. We worked with one of our pharma customers. We call it a digital twin implementation. There are multiple other examples in Industry 4.0 domain which again touch our lives. Imagine the oil and gas guys, right? If they weren't able to produce in a lights out manner, if they weren't able to run their factories remotely, our vehicles would have stopped, supply chains would have crashed. So that is as profound as those examples can get. The third domain, which is sustainability, and again a very transversal area, because environment, sustainability, governance, etc., has been a very critical underlying aspect of manufacturing for a long time. Because of who we are at TechM, our natural sweet spot has been to help CIOs design green IT data centers. So we work with a lot of our partners to build sustainable, energy efficient, low heat emitting data centers. But most importantly, we have also used our portfolio companies to help design and manufacture sustainable products. There are very large scale initiatives happening in Europe and UK where we are helping our customers build what we call gigafactories. So because it is batteries that go into cars and other electrification devices, it also helps in the final objective of green products. Thank you.
Thank you, Debasis. They probably preempted Gautam that you're going to come and talk. So they probably wanted to talk a lot about BFSI. So in the BFSI sector, as we talk a bit about the R word, I was told yesterday by one of the analysts there are only two words in the economy today. It's C for ChatGPT and R for recession. The R word, there's a lot of discussion about the impact on the banking and financial services. How is TechM placed to grow in that industry? And what's the size of the opportunity that we are targeting in that?
Sure, Jagdish. Now, recession, it's coming, it's not coming, is none of us know, but we are well prepared to kind of take care of that. Now, in my previous response, I had spoken about differentiated industry solutions, and differentiated industry solutions is the way forward in good times, in bad times. That's how it helps us grow. I'll pick up insurance first this time. Now, or broadly for financial institutions, the core theme, the dominant theme is modernize your core. And that has been a theme for a while now. Going to the cloud and modernizing is probably a bigger theme in today's day and age. Now in insurance, taking policy on the cloud, doing underwriting on the cloud, doing claims on the cloud, going direct to consumer. We are well equipped with all these four capabilities, some of it through acquired companies, some of it built organically through the customers that we work with, which will allow us to, if and when the recession comes in, to still go out and engage with the insurers and help them become more efficient in what they do. On the banking side, again, we have been fairly active on modernizing the core, whether it's on the core banking side, where in the last year alone, we worked with 5 digital-only banks, neobanks. We moved a lot of the core to the cloud, which helps banks become more efficient. In the bank, we have helped launch digital lending, digital payments, and allied themes around the core banking, which allows banks to again operate more efficiently. So from a service catalog perspective, I think we are very well equipped to cater to helping organizations, banks and insurances both, to operate more efficiently and become more efficient in what they do. And I think we are well equipped through these capabilities to go out and keep growing the way we have. Like I said, the last time I came here is that we have grown. We are one of the fastest growing industry verticals in Tech Mahindra, and we will continue to grow at pace through this year and next year as well.
Thank you, Gautam. Ajith, I'm going to quickly bring you in. This is high tech, which we just talked about a little in our first version, that 34% YOY growth, fastest growing vertical, but it's also a very amorphous sector, very adept to disruption, and therefore constantly changing technology trends are affecting it. How is TechM and your vertical preparing to be able to take on the challenges that it comes together and still grow at the pace that you've grown?
Sure. I think the last 3 years has seen a lot of capacity build from most of the industry leaders, and that's obviously causing a lot of cost sensitivity in the current times. What we have been doing very, very proactively in the last 6 months is engage with all our key customers in a very big way. So what's emerging out of these conversations is 2 or 3 patterns. One is there are a set of customers who are really big, the industry leaders, who don't want to reduce their budget. They want to keep it flat, but they want to do more for less. And obviously this is a huge opportunity for players like us. And with the might we have, with the acquisitions that we have made, we have a lot of depth in the kind of capabilities that we have acquired, and we will continue to play that. And then there is a second set of theme where there are customers who were never open to exposing their core engineering work to players like us, and now that is happening. And that is again a very encouraging sign. And then the third bucket, which is the startup ecosystem, which is comprising of the unicorns, and then there are players who are on their path to become unicorns. They have the biggest cost sensitivity in the market, and they continue to engage us in areas like digital product engineering, quality engineering, and many more areas. So all in all, Jagdish, to your question, the answer is, while we continue to see some headwinds, the tailwinds will definitely outweigh. We have been the fastest growing vertical the last 3 years for the company, and I'm quite confident that this will continue to pay us off. Our strategy in terms of acquisition, pitching for the right areas at the right time, themes like opti-shoring, consolidate and optimize will continuously help us in bringing more value to our customers.
Thank you, Ajith. Seshan, I'll bring you in here to the final segment really for the vertical panel. For us in this, as we had been invested in building our capability, we did put together certain capabilities organically and certain capabilities inorganically. Through HCI or Perigord or a couple of others, we built a portfolio. How is that playing out for us in the market? And what's the opportunity for us to continue to drive growth here?
Sure, thanks, Jagdish. So again, I want to keep my answer short because I'm getting some frowns here. But I want to start by saying that 6 years back when we did the HCI acquisition, I think that kind of gave us a very strong foundation wherein we could embark on our overall healthcare growth story and our overall digital transformation story as well, right? So today, over the last 18 months, we've actually successfully set up one of the largest centers of excellence for EMR, EHR, and I'm talking Cerner and Epic. We have centers of excellence in India as well as in the US and in Europe as well. And I believe that we are one of 3 leading SIs anywhere globally, in terms of doing run, build, and transform from an EMR, EHR perspective. So with that note, I'm going to probably talk about 3 areas where I think growth is going to come from. We are looking at it quite aggressively over the next 12 to 18 months. First is EMR, EHR transformation. I'll come to that in a minute. Second is, and I think Gautam and others alluded to it, which is modernizing your core tech, right? No different from how it is for some of the other industry verticals. That's our bread and butter. And the third one is, I would say using our experience design services. Dilip and others have spoken enough about it in the morning to transform and elevate our patient experience. So I want to give one example of, each of these, if you will. So in terms of, the first one, EMR, EHR transformation. See, today most hospital systems in the US are actually crunched for revenue, right? Because, they have some challenges in terms of either nurse shortages or, value-based care, right? The whole system has moved to value-based care. So their ability to bill and close their books from a revenue perspective is severely challenged. That's where, for one of US largest hospital systems, we have set up a 75-member associate revenue cycle technology center of excellence, right? So what this does is this essentially helps these ministries across hospitals to mop up that revenue and help them close their books. So we are essentially enabling them to meet their committed revenue guidance to the Wall Street, right? So that's one example. I don't want to talk about modernizing the core. Again, that's got to do with some of the centers of excellence in the clinical side of things that we have done over the last 12 to 18 months. The third one is in terms of leveraging some of the portfolio companies that you spoke about, Jagdish, and taking that experience design services, if you will, leveraging Born, Bio, and MatPow and Event Test to our customers. Coupling them with the clinical experiences from HCI, if you will. So I want to talk about Dr. Shanda Blackmon, right? She's a very renowned cardiothoracic surgeon from one of US top hospitals. I don't want to name it. But she came to us with a very unique problem statement, which is, she said she wants to track her patients post-discharge, post-surgery and post-discharge, right? In terms of the need to close the feedback loop, even, months and years after the surgery, because this is a life-saving, we are talking about esophageal cancer, right? So post-esophagectomy, she wanted to track it. So we work collaboratively with our clinical teams, which is HCI, with our experience design services teams like Born and others, to build, a mobile it's a mobile application, but it's an ecosystem surrounding the mobile application. And this is something that we built in 6 to 8 weeks' time. So this is one of the examples in terms of how we are leveraging experience design services to elevate patient experiences. There are other focus areas as well, but I thought these are the top 3 that we should talk about.
Thank you. Thank you, Seshan. That, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the panel. I just want to sort of leave you with a key message here that we were trying to drive. Industry verticals is not just the way we report our numbers, but it's also the way we talk to our clients. And as I was telling you, one of the analysts told us yesterday, we've earned the right to be able to enable them to be relevant for the future. And I think one of the reasons I decided we should put this up is it's a very focused approach on that 1+4, which we keep hearing from you, that get focused. And that's what we've done and applied here on areas and pools of buckets of opportunities in every vertical where there's a significant pool to be earned for us. Thank you for listening to us, and thank you guys.